So we're on Sutra 2.6. Trig darsana saktyorho ekatmata asevita asmita. Egoism is the identification, as it were, of the power of seeing, parusha, with that of the instrument of seeing, mind-body. So egoism is the identification of the seer with the instrument and power of seeing. So parusha, us, and the prakriti, the environment that we put ourselves in. You know, the sutras will say that egoism is nothing but the seer and the power of seeing, which creates both experiences and liberation to us. So, and that makes sense, right? Because you can't transcend a situation unless you have that situation, unless you live that situation first, unless you have that experience. So to transcend it, you have to have it first. So the environment that we put ourselves in, this, the way that we filter, the way we see things, the way we then adapt and behave in our environment, creates those moments of saying, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe this isn't good for me, which allows us to transcend that circumstance. But to look back at it and know that there was a reason that it was there in the first place. To be able to look at pieces of our lives, especially the challenging pieces of our lives, and say, in hindsight, to say, okay, I understand why that happened, because I wouldn't be me the way that I am without that experience, without that happening. So the egoism, the asmita, right? The sutras will also say that it's ignorance that leads us to this space, and that is the ego. It's that the ignorance of the ego saying, okay, I can do this, but it's also that space of ignorance that says, well, I don't know that, and I want to know it. That's the ego, right? Saying, well, I want to know, I want to be good at that. But it's in that ego ignorance that, we say, if I don't know that, I want to know that. That leads us to wanting to learn, to wanting to discover, the wanting to find. And it's in that exploration that we learn new things. It's in that exploration that we figure out who we are, where we are, what we want to be. That we figure out the patterning of what does and what doesn't serve us. So, we want to get rid of ego. We want to get rid of the asmita. We want that piece to go away. The ahamkara, the I amness as human beings will always be there. But allowing, we don't want to associate with the wrong identifications, and we talked about this last time in 2.5. Ego can lead us to wrong identification as well. It's the ego that says, well, I want to be the best, so I'm going to stamp this label on myself, which maybe that label has nothing to do with who you honestly are. The ego is there to serve us in a space of recognition, to say, ooh, yeah, that was my ego that was in the way. I was being ignorant. Now I need a better way. So we allow the path to reveal itself as positively as it can, and allowing us to learn and transcend circumstance karmically, so that we don't have to continue to spin and spin and spin and spin in the same space. We don't want to have to learn the same lesson a million times before it sets in. And sometimes that's the way it goes. We do something over and over and over again until we realize, God, this is not a good idea. I need to choose something different. Allow, if you recognize that space of ego, allow it to serve you in a positive way, and to let you realize the patterning in the spaces that need to be transformed and need to be changed. And then piece by piece, the ego begins to go away, and you end up in this space of ahamkara, which is soulful I amness. It's that independent spirit. We're all very different, and we're meant to be. We're supposed to be. So don't attach to wrong identification. It all comes down to authentic self and knowing who you are. And when you know that, there's no reason to stamp different labels on it. I've said this a million times, but it's really true. we should wear one hat, and that's our hat. You know, not 15 different hats in 15 different places. We shouldn't need to change the authentic self because of circumstance. Self is self, and it really should be that simple. And eventually I think we get there, you know? Maybe not, maybe it does take 10,000 lifetimes, but I do think eventually we get there. All right, practice, practice. Shanti.